Hey man, let's talk about a hard truth that most men don't want to face. Your silence isn't working. You've pulled back, you've stopped texting, you've gone cold, thinking it's gonna flip her mindset and make her realize what she's missing. You're holding out hope that the absence of your presence is gonna create some kind of emotional void in her life that forces her to come running back. But she hasn't. She hasn't called. She hasn't checked in. And now you're stuck in that dangerous space between pride and pain, wondering why the move that's supposed to make her miss you is leaving you even more invisible. Let me be real with you. Silence only works when it's backed by substance. If your silence is coming from emotional reactivity, she can feel that. If it's coming from insecurity, she can sense it. And if you're pulling away hoping it'll teach her a lesson, all she's learning is that you're still emotionally tethered to her decisions. Women are far more intuitive than we give them credit for. They don't just hear your silence, they read it. And if the energy behind it is bitter, manipulative, or weak, it's not making her miss you, it's making her lose respect for you. See, most guys go silent, but they don't actually move on. They disappear physically, but still orbit her emotionally. They check her social media, they ask about her through mutual friends, they leave the door open just enough in case she decides to knock. And even if you think you're being slick, women pick up on all of it. They feel it in the timing of your Instagram story, in the tone of your silence, in the way you hesitate when they test the waters. And what you call mystery, she often just registers as emotional immaturity. Silence that's meant to punish doesn't build attraction, it builds resentment. If you're not speaking to her just to make her miss you, that's not masculine energy, that's manipulation. And while it might get you a reaction, it'll never get you respect. Because respect doesn't come from creating absence, it comes from creating value. And unless you've elevated since the moment you pulled away, your silence isn't building curiosity, it's building a gap she no longer feels the need to close. You have to understand something crucial: space doesn't work unless the man in that space becomes more. If you're just sitting in the same energy, hoping the void alone will do the work, she won't feel it. In fact, she might even feel relief, because silence without transformation just feels like emotional pressure. But when your silence is filled with movement, with growth, with clarity, with alignment, then it becomes magnetic, not because you pulled back, but because you leveled up while she wasn't watching. Women don't miss silence, they miss certainty, they miss leadership. They miss the man who made them feel grounded, secure, challenged. And if all you did was remove your voice without reinforcing your value, what exactly do you expect her to miss? The silence has to carry weight, and that weight doesn't come from absence, it comes from how you fill the space with purpose. So if your silence isn't working, don't double down on the withdrawal. Don't retreat further into a shell thinking she'll magically snap out of it. Instead, ask yourself, who am I becoming in her absence? What am I building? What emotional shifts am I making? Because women don't miss the man who went quiet. They miss the man they can no longer reach, because he evolved in a way that makes their previous version of you feel obsolete. Here's the shift you need to make. Stop thinking silence is a strategy. It's not. Silence is a byproduct of growth. It's what naturally happens when you're so dialed into your own mission, your own value, your own clarity, that you don't have time to explain your absence. And when she finally looks back, if she ever does, what she should feel isn't punishment, it should be distance. She can't close without rising to meet you at your new level. But that only works if you actually do the work. If your silence is just avoidance, she'll wait you out. She'll sit in her own pride, match your distance, and eventually just move on. But if your silence is a reflection of how far you've come, that's when she doesn't just miss you, she misses the window she had to grow with you. And that's what really flips the power dynamic. Not emotional games, not forced indifference, just evidence that you no longer live where she left you. The reason your silence isn't making her miss you is because silence is empty if it's not filled with evolution. If you pulled back but kept the same insecurities, the same need for approval, the same habits that made her lose interest in the first place, you're just quieter, not more attractive. Women don't feel compelled to return to men who simply go ghost. They feel drawn to men who return with a new posture, a new energy, a new level of self-respect that forces them to reconsider how they handled you. You've got to become the man who no longer needs her attention to feel grounded, The man who doesn't have to perform, chase, or prove anything. Because when your presence used to be predictable, good morning texts, late night calls, emotional check-ins, and now it's completely recalibrated, not from spite but from growth, that's when she feels it. That's when she checks your page and sees calm instead of chaos, confidence instead of confusion. That's when she realizes you're not waiting anymore. Real silence is internal. It's not about muting your phone. It's about muting the part of you that needed to be chosen to feel validated. That's the work most men skip. They think silence is the strategy, when in reality, self-transformation is the real power. If your silence didn't shift your mindset, rebuild your standards, or challenge your habits, then all you did was pause the game. And women don't chase a pause. They chase a man who stopped playing and started building. You don't need her to chase you. That's the part most men don't understand. When your silence becomes heavy, not from manipulation, but from momentum, she feels the change. She doesn't reach out because you disappeared. She reaches out because you no longer orbit her. You've moved into your purpose, your peace, your power. You stopped performing. You stopped waiting. And now she's watching the man she once had access to become unavailable on a level she never expected. But you only get there by letting go of the idea that she's supposed to miss you. That's the irony. The moment you stop needing her to feel your absence is the moment she finally does. Because feminine energy doesn't respond to emotional bait, it responds to masculine stability. She doesn't need silence from you. She needs to feel who you are becoming without her. That's what builds attraction, not neediness, not distance, but depth. You've got to stop hoping she notices. You've got to stop calculating every move to spark a reaction. That energy, she reads it as weak. But when your focus becomes so dialed into your mission, your presence, your growth, that her presence or absence no longer dictates your worth, that's when you flip the script without saying a word. And now she's not thinking, why hasn't he texted? She's thinking, why can't I stop thinking about him? That's the difference between silence and power. And if she never reaches out again, that's your answer. That's your freedom. Because now you know she wasn't emotionally aligned with the version of you that was willing to grow. And instead of mourning what could have been, you use that as fuel to become the man who never has to pull away to be respected again. You become the kind of man who commands connection through energy alone. The kind of man who doesn't need to withdraw because his presence is already so intentional, so powerful, that only the emotionally mature dare to approach it. So don't just go quiet, go inward, go deeper. Rebuild your mindset, rewire your identity, focus on your body, your vision, your circle, your peace. Become emotionally disciplined, because the man who no longer needs to be loud to be heard hears everything. And that man, he becomes a storm in silence. Not chaotic, but calm, collected, and dangerously unforgettable. Your silence didn't fail you, brother. It just didn't have any weight. But now, you fill it with meaning, with truth, with unshakable presence. You stop trying to make her miss the old you and start becoming the version of you she can't stop thinking about but can no longer access. That's not revenge, that's rebirth. And the ones who left you behind, they'll have to live with the fact that the man they ghosted became the one they were never ready for. So remember this, silence is only powerful when it's paired with progress. Don't just stop talking, start transforming. Don't just disappear, become undeniable. And when she finally looks back, let your evolution be so loud that your silence doesn't just speak for you, it echoes in every part of her that once took you for granted.